Come on in. I'm Mary Lou Bigelow, and welcome again to my Afghanistan series. Today, we're coming to you from Kabul, Afghanistan, and we are in the Care-Afghanistan headquarters, and with me is Sally Austin, who's the program director. Welcome to the show, Sally.
Thanks very much.
Well, tell me, I noticed from the moment I walked in, you were on the phone and talking about flying here and there in Afghanistan. How long have you actually been program director?
I arrived with Care-Afghanistan in August '99, so it's a little over 3 years that I've been working here.
Well, you are at home, correct? Yes. And originally you're from?
From England.
England, yes.
Yeah.
Well, tell us the mission, Care-Afghanistan's mission, basically. Let's start with that.
Yeah, we've been working here since the 1960s, where we first started with the Care Medico organization, basically addressing medical issues in Afghanistan. During the Soviet invasion, we actually came out of Afghanistan, and then we have been working again for about the last 13 years, addressing the most vulnerable people in the country, both in rural areas and in urban centres as well.
And so you have been here right since 1999 and right through the invasion after September 11.
I was actually in Peshawar on September the 11th. So I used to come back and forth from Peshawar.
Yes.
I was meant to be flying in on September the 11th, but for some reason I decided I'd stay in Peshawar.
Tell me some of the things you do here.
Well, we're running a program portfolio of about $18 million. We have 650 staff, of which about 18% are women. And as I said, we're running programs from rural assistance, working in some of the most remote drought-affected rural areas, to a big water and sanitation project here in Kabul, which is providing about 400,000 people with water. We also have an education project, which currently has 29,000 children, about 50% girls, in again remote schools. We've also obviously been working much more closely with the new government, and we've been working with them specifically on labour-intensive projects, so projects to try and get more people into employment. We're working in the area north of Kabul, the Shamali Plains, which saw it was totally destroyed during August '99. So we're working there to help the people coming back to rebuild their homes. But we have a sort of very broad-ranging project portfolio here.
Well, let's talk first about the children and the primary
education.
Education.
Yeah.
How far, where do you cover? From Kabul to where?
We work in Kabul. We've been specifically working on an out-of-school girls project in Kabul since January. So girls aged 9 to 14 in urban centres, specifically Kabul, that were really unlikely to be able to find schooling under the Taliban. We're giving them a catch-up programme, so condensed education. In one term, they will sort of do much more than they would have done in the government schools in order to provide them with the facility to join government schools in future and not be a lanky 10-year-old joining 5-year-olds. So that's the programme we've been doing in Kabul, together with a female education programme, working with, again, the Ministry of Education to support female teachers who have been out of work for 6 years, to give them new skills, catch up, refresher training. And then in the rural areas, Logar, Gardez, Ghazni, Host, mainly south of Kabul and southeast of Afghanistan, we have a program that works with communities. It's called the Community Organised Primary Education Project. And they provide the teacher and pay for the teacher. and we actually provide the teacher training, support to stationery, books, and also assist the communities to organise themselves to provide education. We started this under the Taliban, in that if they came to the villages and said, this is a girls' school, shut it down, the community said, it's our school, leave us alone. And we had no problems of schools being shut down. But it also is a very good way to ensure sustainability of a school. During September to December, when obviously our monitoring and support of schools was limited, 95% of those schools continued. The only problems we had were when teachers actually decided, due to security reasons, they would leave the area.
Since September 11, for me, the world is before September 11 and after September 11, coming from the United States. And of course, most of our viewers are from the United States. That's when Afghanistan became people became aware of the country that I love and fell in love with 30 years ago. But how has the schooling, just looking at it now, how do you perceive the schooling, not only in terms of education, but
well, obviously, driving around Kabul, you see as well as I see the faces, the many, many children walking the street. There's a lot of expense. Yes, it is terms of building schools, but it's also in terms of building the capacity of teachers, and also there is still work to be done with communities to try and encourage girls' education.
That's right, and to help explain why it's so important that women become educated for the whole family's sake.
Exactly.
Now, do you personally go out and tell me about some of the water projects?
Sure. Here in Kabul, we run 7 deep boreholes, which Care rehabilitated in 1994, and they then provide water through the old network system. So that is, as I said, providing water to about 400,000 people here in Kabul. It's not 24 hours. It goes in turns, so 3 hours to District 4, 3 hours to District 6, 3 hours to District 7. And we then have 50 health educators, female health educators, that also go around the houses where water is being provided to explain storage, how you store your water, how to protect yourself from other waterborne diseases, and also other messages in terms of immunization, nutrition and things like that. So that's what we're doing here in Kabul. We also, in rural areas, look at ways that we can increase the amount of water available to villages, both in terms of drinking water and also obviously for agriculture. I think we're all aware now as well of the 4 years of drought that Afghanistan's been facing, and there are ways that you can put concrete lining in canals to reduce the amount of seepage of water. So those are some of the projects we're running outside of Kabul.
Now, some of the villages that have been destroyed, in fact, we were chatting just before we started the show on a village, for example. I visited a village up near Istala, but it was one of a number of villages, I guess, in that area that have, maybe 500 houses or so. And I understand you are starting to work. Remember the name of the
We've been working
area
in the Somali Plains, north of Kabul, since January of this year. And when we first went there, we tried to restore the traditional water canals, which are called karezes, which at the time of the fighting over that area had been destroyed and filled with stones. So that was sort of the critical thing to restore before people could come back. We met some people travelling up from Kabul looking at the situation and said, we can't come, we can't make tea, we can't do our ablutions, there's no way we can come back. So we started in January helping people to restore water, and then since about April, May time, we will, by the end of the year, assisted 5,000 families in shelter, and we're hoping to be able to find more funding next year to support more of these very vulnerable people returning.
So your message to, say, the world
is remain
what?
Focused on Afghanistan, and please ensure that the American government continue their commitment, the multi-year commitment, and this is in terms of emergency money plus the reconstruction money, and we can't combine the two. There is continuing emergency requirements in this country, plus obviously the large level of reconstruction that is needed. That the issue of security is also a big challenge for Afghanistan. As you will have seen in Kabul, we have ISAF here, but only here in Kabul, the International Security Assistance Force. One of the things that NGOs have been pushing for since about March of this year is for an expansion of that force into other key locations around the country in order to try and provide support for the regions, and also in terms of support for building up the Afghan army, which is going to take between 5 and 8 years, people are saying. And there again needs to be a long-term commitment that some oversight for the security here will be provided to Afghanistan. I think without that we could easily slip into the situation that we had prior to September the 11th, which none of us would want.
Thank you so much, Sally. It was very interesting, and I hope your messages get across to our viewers.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching the Mary Lou Bigelow Show. We'll see you next time.
آفتاب منبع بزرگ حرارت و روشنی است. علمای فنس به این عقیده اند که آفتاب یک کره غازات مشتعل و گرم است که روشنی از همین غازات پیدا می
در شب‌هایی که آسمان صاف می باشد نقطه نقطه روشنی و درخشان زیاد دیده می شود که به نام ستاره ها یاد می شود. ستاره ها مانند آفتاب از غازات خیلی گرم میان آمده و از گذشت زمان سرد شده و روشنی ستاره ها از فاصله 100,000 کیلومتر به ما می رسد. ستاره ها از نور می دهد مگر ستاره آفتاب روشنی نداشته و روشنی را از آفتاب می گیرد. از ستاره های دیگر می گیرد. سیارات بدون خورشید در حرکت می باشند. مهمترین